Hi everyone, welcome to 10 Sisters TV. I'm Carmen Geddes, and this morning I am just working on some half square triangles, and I thought I'm just going to show you a couple of ways that I like to press and trim up half square triangles. I mean, I am all about all these awesome rulers and lots of different ways to make half square triangles, but the bottom line with half square triangles is we have to press them and we have to trim them to size most of the time. And so lots of different options. And if you are familiar with how I quilt, I love options because different techniques appeal to me at different times, depending if I'm sitting at the sewing machine or I'm at the pressing or cutting table. So I always like lots of options. So the first thing I really wanted to talk about is how I like to press them. When I make half square triangles, I do like to stabilize the fabric with some spray starch or best press type. I like to stabilize that fabric. And then I press to the dark side basically. And so after the half square triangles are made, I do like to set those seams and just kind of give it a good press while they're still closed. And then I do like steam. And so with steam, you do need to be a little bit careful that you're not stretching these half square triangles out. But the other thing I really like to do is I don't just press one at a time. I kind of like to do a stack, and I'm not pressing them right on top of each other. I'm just staggering them, give that a little shot of steam. A little bit difference between pressing and ironing. And so I guess this is more of a press that I'm trying to focus on. Sometimes I will adjust the iron around though, if I want to kind of make sure I'm getting that seam nice and flat and open. But I do like to let steam do part of the work for me. So I do like to stagger these. I've been known to have, trails of half square triangles going across my pressing board. And so that just seems kind of efficient, rather than, I like to save some steps and rather than doing them over and over. So sometimes when I am doing half square triangles, and especially if I'm in the piecing mode, when I am piecing these on my foundation, I don't necessarily want to go through the rotary cutter process with the rulers to square up my half square triangles. When these are going to be 2.5 inch half square triangles. So sometimes what I like to do is I will get a cut square. I'm going to just measure it over here. It might be a little bit off camera. Just making sure that that is right at 2.5 inches. I'm actually going to make sure that it's nice and pressed. So sometimes I will just take my half square triangle and I line up my square over the top of my half square triangle. Now in this case, I'm going to show you the back side. They are about exactly the same size. So that's pretty great. This half square triangle turned out exactly the size that I need it to be. So I'm just going to trim off these dog ears. And then we're going to go on to the next one. And what I wanted to point out, when I take a square and I line it up, I want to make sure that, I'll put it down here so we can see better. I want to make sure that the seam of the half square triangle lines up with the corners of the cut square. So that ensures that I am not cutting this half square triangle off. I'm not getting that seam off center. I want to make sure that the corners of my cut square line up with the seam line of the half square triangle. This is especially important to me if I have kind of a wonky half square triangle, right? That I do literally need to square up. And so this one, you can see, it's just got a little bit extra over here. I do like to use serrated scissors. There's several different brands that are awesome. And so, of course, when I trim that up, I'm going to trim the dog ears off also. Now, one thing if you're familiar with our Easy Piecing grid, what I say a lot is that because we have I'm just going to show you just in case, there'll be a link to a video at the bottom of this video if you're unfamiliar with our Easy Piecing grid. Because I'm placing these half square triangles on my fusible foundation, the foundation is printed perfectly, so my cutting doesn't have to be perfect. And this would definitely be a factor. These would need to be perfect if I was in fact, taking these two pieces and putting them right sides together and pinning and sewing. Well, then the size of the half square triangles, you really do want them to be nice and uniform. But I feel like I'm getting away with a little bit because I'm piecing on a foundation. And so I do have a little bit of leeway. And this is especially true if my half square triangle happens to be a little bit on the small side. Our website is tensisters.com. We've got lots of tutorial videos. There are some specifically on working with half square triangles, different ways to make half square triangles, and how to piece with half square triangles on our Easy Piecing grid. But I just wanted to show you this little, just one other option, one other technique for trimming up your half square triangles. And again, I want to make sure that that cut square is sized correctly. And after I've cut several, I may have inadvertently trimmed off a few threads of my plain fabric square. And so every now and then I change out that square, right? I can't trust myself not to maybe be shaving this square down just a little bit. So just another option to get our half square triangles all trimmed up. So check us out on tensisters.com and our videos, lots of our free patterns. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.